Hey there, it's Jessica from the Literacy Loft, and I'm sharing with you a quick and easy strategy to help you teach paraphrasing and writing. So around this time of year, you may be in test prep mode and your students are getting antsy, plus it's later in the year, so you need some engaging lessons to keep your kids writing. It's really important to keep your lessons engaging throughout the whole year, but it is especially so before and after spring break. Maybe you're even on spring break right now, which is awesome. I hope you're relaxing and don't even worry about watching this video. Save it for when it's time to go back and teach your kids paraphrasing writing. But today I do want to share with you this favorite quick and easy strategy to teach students how to paraphrase. I'm pretty sure there is never a time that students don't need this lesson. Paraphrasing is tricky, but this lesson is sure to get your kids talking about writing and, of course, paraphrasing. So here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a text, something specific that you want students to paraphrase. So you could use a science or social studies topic if you don't already have something, like if you don't have a writing article or prompt or essay or anything that you're already working on. Your science or social studies book, textbook, or a topic that you're covering in science or social studies is a great resource. Plus it helps you bring in the writing and the science together. So another great way to do this would be to show a video, but I'm just going to talk about a text, but you could use the same strategy using a video that you have possibly used in science or social studies or just a topic that maybe your kids are interested in. I like to use for this lesson large post-it notes. So these are those big post-it notes. The reason I like to use these is because students love these. And so just the novelty of these huge post-it notes keeps students engaged and excited. Or you could give students chart paper and have them work as a group or to use chart paper in there. And then what you can have is a chart paper or almost like a parking lot for all of your students' examples. And then what I like to do is definitely share, after they're done with this activity, share all of the examples in your classroom of the awesome paraphrasing that your students did. So, and also your students need to be set up in partnerships. This strategy works really well if your students are in partnerships because they need somebody to talk to, obviously, because they're going to be talking first. And then it just makes it way more engaging and more interactive if they're working with a partner. So this is definitely one of those lessons that is more interactive rather than you explicitly teaching. You could turn the same strategy into a mini lesson by first modeling and then use the activity to have students try it together. And then another little resource I want to share with you too that might be helpful, and this is found if you've bought any of the informational or opinion writing units. It's a chart that is included in there, and you could also have them, the chart goes on one side of the notebook, and then you could have students practice on the other side of the notebook. So you don't even need the large post-it notes, but I definitely just love to use those with students in writing because they get engaged and that's what we want. So what you're going to do is you want to tell students to kind of prep them to know exactly what they're going to do with this lesson, so they have some expectations and they're ready. So you're going to tell your students that they're going to read the text to find out X. So whatever it is that you want them to find out. So for example, we were writing in response to a prompt that asked, would a bike sharing program work in my community? It would be really important to explain what a bike sharing program is and how it works, because when you say bike sharing program, no one really knows what that looks like or what it is unless it already exists in their community or you've been a part of one. So to be completely honest, before we did this this text that we were writing in response to, I had no idea what a bike sharing program is. So also, as a writer, we are teachers, and clarity is quite possibly the most important part of your writing. So if there is a concept or something that your reader needs to know when you're writing, this is a great place to use paraphrasing. So if we're writing about whether a bike sharing program would or would not work in our community, it's going to be really important that we explain what a bike sharing program is. Our reader has to know that. We have to be super clear on that. So that's what I chose for this activity. So here's what you're going to do. So they know, like, this is what I'm going to be paraphrasing. So you're framing, like, we're focusing on something specific. We're not just taking a whole text and paraphrasing the whole thing. That would be boring and pointless. But we are taking a specific idea and looking for something specific to paraphrase or write in our own words. So also you want to make sure that of course, I just want to say this, I should have said this at the beginning, but you definitely want to make sure that your students know what paraphrasing means. So that's why I shared the chart with you, because it explains that you're just rewriting the author's idea in your own words, and you're using your writing voice and style. So make sure students are super clear on that. Or that you've explained it, because this activity is also going to help them understand what paraphrasing is, because they're going to be applying it. So students are going to, and this is what you're going to set them up to expect, they're first going to read the text. Then they're going to flip the text over and don't look at it while they're writing. Then they're going to talk out loud with their partner about what the text says. Then they're going to write with their partner to explain what a bike sharing program is, or what a blah, 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 whatever you're writing about is. So the key here, the reason this works is students are reading it, they're not looking at it, then they're talking about it, then they're writing about it. So are getting ready to write, one of the biggest things is, like, I don't know how to take what is in my head and put it on paper. So the more that we can get them to rehearse and talk about their writing, the better able they're going to be able to do that and make that transition from head to paper. So I like to set a timer for anytime I'm doing anything in teaching, because it's definitely has been my best friend in teaching. So you could set a timer for students to read over the text, so that you're not giving too much time or too little time, just depending on how big of a text that you're using. So you'll set a timer. May not be necessary, but I can ramble and talk forever, so I think it's just, I always use a timer. So that's definitely another of my favorite tips in teaching writing. So you're going to flip after they're done reading, they're going to flip over their paper and go. Then they're going to talk about what a bike sharing or blah, blah, blah is with their partner. As soon as they're finished talking, they're going to pick up their pencil and write out what they just said. So this is where they would just write. So on their, on the Post-it note or in their writing notebook or wherever you're having them write, you could use index cards, you could use little Post-it notes, depending on how big of a concept it is going to take them to explain. So they're just going to write what a bike sharing program is, and they're going to be working together to make sure they're using complete sentences and capital letters and all that good stuff, and making sure that they're really explaining what it is. While they're doing that, you're walking around the room and just coaching them and guiding them and helping them be sure that they're paraphrasing. And that's it. So once students are finished, then you have them just reread their writing to make sure it makes sense, and then go back and check with what the text actually said. So the other thing that I will say is that if students have difficulty remembering what the text said, be lenient with that and let them, you can look at it, but then you have to flip it back over. So that's really helpful if students are like, I don't remember what it said. I want to be accurate, because you do want them to be accurate, but if it's a lot easier to paraphrase if you're not looking at it. Then you're actually you're like, okay, I know what the text said about what a bike sharing program is, so now I'm just going to explain it in my own words. So that's that part about them talking with their writing partner before they actually write is really important, because they're practicing how to put it into their own words. So that's it. I am going to share with you just some examples after I finish talking in this video. I got some examples for you so you can see how this worked in my classroom, and see some examples of the students' writing that they came up with. So thank you. If you have any questions or comments or feedback, please let me know, and you can email me, jessica@theliteracyloft.com, or leave a comment below. Hope you're having a great Wednesday, and we'll talk soon.